thousand?
I saw it in one of the flyers.
Okay, because there's no number regarding some of these schools that's 33,000. We have a cost per pupil, which is a calculation by the Department of Education. That's right now, our new one came out at 27,000, not 33,000. That's cost per pupil. That's not a tuition or an adequacy. So I'm not sure of the number of 33,000.
Still, that's an awful high amount per student, based on what the other towns are paying.
I'm not sure what amount then.
If you're paying 27,000 per student.
Again, cost per pupil is looking at operation costs. And what you're trying, I think what you did was you took our budget and you multiplied it, you divided it by the number of students, and that's not how you get the actual cost per pupil. That's determined by the Department of Education.
Are there any other questions to the amended article?
I just want to answer her question on the $25.6 million. That is a not to exceed. If we cannot build the school for that, once we get our professional numbers back in, then we can't build the school. So we can't go ask for more money. But what we have done, the responsible thing to do is the team that we have hired, we have a professional estimating team that has used current school pricing over the state. And so we're as close as we feel that we can possibly get with contingencies for that grant that we may get that you mentioned also earlier. So I hope that answers that question for you.
This young woman's been waiting patiently.
Thank you. My name is Catherine Hurd. I live at 163 North in Sunapee. And I have heard a lot of really good discussion going on tonight as far as concerns that the community has and issues that need to still be addressed. And from the sounds of things, it sounds like we kind of have to kind of do things in chunks. And I know that's a good point that people have made. Like, let's start with the bare minimum and then move forward. So 10 years ago, my husband and I were looking for homes in the surrounding area. We're both from Sunapee. We have a family in Sunapee. And we started shopping around, and we have one of the lowest property taxes in the surrounding area. And starting to shop around, even in the Kearsarge district, the prices are double what we pay here in Sunapee. And that was a big, determination for us buying a home here. I have two small children. My daughter is in preschool, and my son will be 2 in May. And they will go through this school system. And right now, we are a single income family. So I understand the pressure of reaching deep into your pocketbook to fund a school that looks like it's this huge, exorbitant expense. And it's really not, because breaking it down, we are way overdue to provide our children with a building that is safe, that is up to standards, up to snuff, and competitive in elementary school. Our elementary school, my husband's grandfather, he's 99. He was a student. He could have been a student at this school. That is really, really outdated. And trust me, I get it, I understand the difficulty it is to pay these taxes and to put forth a new school. But ball fields, extracurricular activities, all of that, there is research that backs that up, that says that our kids are going to be some of the best educated kids in this state. It's going to make them competitive, it's going to make them stronger, it's going to make them ready for a future where the world is going to need them. That's not made up. There is research out there that says we need athletic fields because it teaches kids teamwork. We need extracurricular activities because it provides kids something that they don't get when they're sitting in a single classroom. So I hear you out there. I'm with you. I know this is hard. This is a lot of money. It is a huge price tag. And it is time, because it is overdue. This is something that has needed to happen for a long, long time. And we owe it to our community to make it a better place, and to make it a better place for not just now, but down the road as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
instruction on the elementary would be LEED certified? And if not, would it at least investigate the air quality standards that we're looking at answer that?
Yes, please.
May I speak?
I believe we're gonna have a response to that question, unless you're gonna offer an answer.
So, permission for one of our experts to speak with clarity on that detail, is that okay?
That is okay, thank you.
Okay.
Sure. Ingrid Nichols with Banner Architects. We love LEED buildings. Unfortunately, this won't be a LEED certified building, but what we will be doing is going through the CHIPS checklist, which is a collaborative for high performance schools. So that is kind of a LEED for schools. Exactly, yes.
Are there any further comments or questions?
Joe Briggs, 102 Lake Ave. Just want to let everyone know we have been coming here for about 33 years or so, my wife and I. We've lived here now for at least 6 years full time. None of our children have gone to this high school. We've all, I've got 3 children that are on to college or better things at this point. But I believe the most important thing that we can do as a community is invest in our children. Education, our children, is our future. And here we are, we're a great little community, and most of the school board people know this probably, but we have the 3rd ranked school in the New Hampshire region. Amazing. And this small community has done that, supportive of all of the teachers, the community here. The 3rd ranked highest school in New Hampshire. Amazing. I didn't know that. I did a little research because we were coming to the meeting tonight. And to me, that's just unbelievable. We live in McKean, New Hampshire. Our taxes were much, much higher than here in Sunapee. We have so many more things here in Sunapee, and we pay maybe 1/3 of what we're paying in Keene. And I think Keene High School was ranked in the lower half. Why is that? You've got a great community. You have to continue to support our children and education. It's just like a roof, right? No one wants to pay more than we need to, but once your roof needs to be replaced, you're gonna have to do it. It's gonna leak, and all of a sudden, you lose this school and you're gonna lose your community. There's many facts out there about the children and what they do to the community. Everyone gets together. The schools and the gamesmanships and the leadership comes through a small school, and all of your athletics. Again, how many state championships have we won? A little school like this. My opinion is you got to dig deep, and nothing in the world is free. You're going to have to, if you want to continue to have a great town like this, we need to continue to talk and get this thing done. Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Ed Preston, I live at 5135 Road. Surprisingly, I'm not bringing up either taxes or no taxes, it's a fact of life. I have a question to the school board and their experts. We live in a dangerous time. I've looked at your plans, my question to the school board and or their professionals. Have you had any input from security experts like the police chief or others in your building design to help prevent the horrors we're seeing nationwide?
So safety is an oddly missing word through this whole focus area. We started with this project looking at, all right if I just stand up. Okay. So we have so I only have a new perspective. I didn't have my parents and grandparents go to the same setting or campus. But one of the first things we were talking about was, in the modern world, where the gentleman sat. The modern world isn't quite so friendly from when that school was built to high school. You got kids going up and down the hill. You have our youngest with staff out in the modulars that are sinking, that have been there for over 20 years. As much as the superintendent has worked with Homeland Security, and we even got an accommodation for the level of plan that we have, when you look at an active shooter situation, the last thing you want is staff and children in 3 different buildings and no permanent way to communicate. Safety is an absolute huge focus area. When we work with our experts, that was one of the things that we started with, that we want to have beyond the air quality that's gotten brought up, whether this is a big issue, 3 floors, should be 1 floor, all of these other things, safety and having that common entrance, visibility, cameras, access for fire and safety, all of that was definitely, for us in our early discussion, with driving force.
I'd like to have permission for one of our experts to speak.
Go right ahead, please have them identify yourself.
Good evening, my name is Brad Prescott. I'm from Bandel Architects and the project manager. We just wanted to talk a little bit about some of the devices that we've designed and budgeted into this project for security reasons. We talked about them during several CIP meetings and did come up a couple of times at the school board meetings. But what we try to do in a building like this, what we've achieved here is to try to reduce the amount of porosity of the building envelope when it comes to traffic. To really manage it throughout the day. So you have a very porous building with lots of doors that you can enter into or exit out of in any given building. In this building, this has been limited with the design. So the entrance into the building is limited to just 3 doors that are monitored during drop-off and pickup. And then after drop-off and pickup, those 2 times during the day, it's then funneled down to 1 secure entrance as well. And that has what they call a man trap entrance, so it's locked as a vestibule. You can get in if you're buzzed into the vestibule, but then you have to then get buzzed into the office of the school, penalty after being positively identified and vetted. We've also worked on some security measures. I don't want to get too public about them, but essentially impact and intrusion resisting glazing and features of the building. And then we talked a lot about how to monitor the students that they were during the day and to limit the amount of access to the site for general use. It also has some other amenities. Some other amenities to the building include having most of the activity in the back of the building, not on the street side, which shields the children from the public way. And that pretty much covers it.
So, as Jesse said, one of the huge considerations was safety. For anybody that knows anything about our school now knows that the elementary school kids have to walk down the hill to go to music, and they also have to walk down the hill to go to gym. But there's no communication between the gymnasium and the elementary school. That's a huge gap. So the teachers run up and down with kids, and it makes it, it's a colossal waste of time, educational time, by the time they go up and down that hill also. But then we have the little kids out of the modular that's totally on an island by itself also. So one of our biggest concerns was safety. And with the help from our experts, I think we came up with a great plan.
Yeah. So we've been talking to the chief, we met with the fire department, and there's a lot more to that to make sure their fingerprints are all over the final plan, just so that everybody understands. Through the process and all the high volume of public input at meetings, we did not naturally get to the project plan date of plan until the middle of December. So it's still fairly fresh when it comes to that final design. We sort of settled on it months before, but to really confirm it so that we can talk more specifically about the cost savings, the safety, those other factors. Those are what we're excited to be able to work on now. to make sure that we're addressing your concern of safety, that was a major, that was a major driver. We feel very confident as we refine the building and campus plan that with fire and safety, that we'll be meeting those.
One of the issues,
Sir, could you please use my.
Thank you for answering the questions, but I live up here with a new cafe towards his mills, and we all know going in and out of Seven Hearts in that area is the blind driveway. Has there been a traffic study done on the safety of our young drivers as our juniors and seniors try to make that hazardous corner in the Seven Hearts for the new proposed athletic fields are? Or is there a plan to put stoplights there? I mean, go too detailed, but sitting on this corner, I mean, I drive by and we all know it's like, unless we're ready to make the left turns. Has that been addressed in your safety plan?
So we are aware of the potential hazard up there. We will have to do a traffic study for these passes. But right now, we'd be jumping ahead to be able to spend money on a traffic study when we don't know exactly how much it's going to cost. It would be covered in our contingencies.
There was a preliminary traffic study completed by the town that is still being written right now, so we have to get the final report on that. In there are some recommendations on acceleration, deceleration, potential flashing lights. So that has been looked at by the DOT. So we may have to take a deeper look at what's approved.
Yeah, we met with the select board last week, and that the town manager was firm to say that that's still in process, and so as that study is completed, then we can work with that. But just to reaffirm what Andy said, when you look at the pricing, we have that considered in the pricing for the fields. There's that potential need for that, so we can absolutely address, which is a great concern that you brought up. So thanks for voicing it.
Yep.
Hi, Laura Hurd, 503 North Road. My question was also about safety. Thanks for answering those questions. One of the concerns I have about this new plan is the one campus. I was curious how you got to doing one campus and how you plan on integrating the younger kids with the older kids. Are they going to be going on the same bus? Are they going to have a lot of interaction? Because my concern with having a daughter who's going into kindergarten next year is there's such a big difference in development with even the 7th and 8th graders, and especially the 12th graders. If she's on the bus with them, I would be concerned about bullying or something like that. And also the concern about having the one campus, if there happened to be, God forbid, a school shooting. Generally that's been in high schools, and so if we had a school shooting and it was one connected building, would then the elementary school children be traumatized by that? Thank you.
So right now, the way that it works in Sunapee is, and the way it's always works, is we share buses. So we have children at all age groups on our buses. And if you look at the new plan, which I would highly suggest if you can look it up online or one of the flyers, you'll see when the buses come in, the kids split. The elementary kids go off to the left, the middle school and high school go off to the right, and that's a little monitored area right there. And then also, to be further, more of the elementary kids, like the daily drop-off that happens now at the bottom of the hill at the Sherburne. Now there's a roundabout out back, so all the younger kids can get dropped off out there and monitored away from the road for safety, and then also they'll be able to go right to the playground. You know, also, I mean, unfortunately, school shootings aren't just high school. Sandy Hook was a prime example.
Can I just have a follow-up? So what was your decision making in combining it rather than, all the other plans I had seen, they were separated by some space, and I was just wondering, one continuing building. I understand there's going to be separation, but I know at one point was one where the elementary school would be up on the baseball fields, and that just feels better to me.
It's great you're asking these, because it's probably, most of the room is curious as well, so thanks everybody for being here and voicing what this is all about. We did look last year, different partners, which is an important point. We did look at a pile of previous plans. The community has been talking about this for a long time, so when we started to look at it, we're in the library, in the middle school, middle high library, and there's just a table covered with all these different plans and multiple revisions. To go to the field, to have a separate elementary school on the upper field, which it looks like a prior group spent a lot of time and energy in the past looking at, what it came down to for us was you need to have duplicative everything. So we'd have to have a gym, even though there's one here. You would have to have cafeteria. You'd have to have the arbor. We have to duplicate the whole shebang right up there. When we got initial pricing, it was somewhere in the $40 to $44 million range. This is prior partners last year, rough estimates. So that was the number that so Andy's new to the board. It's been awesome on the CIP this year. I was on this last year, so I have a contrast of both partners and those experiences. But to even look at doing an independent school, even if we could put it on our property here, it was starting with a 4 for 40 million or more. So that was kind of a no-go. And we really went the other way, starting with the forums, getting feedback to how do we get to K-12 campus or pre-K-12 campus. How can we maximize the land that we own? How can we remove a lot of waste and inefficiencies, greatly ramp up the safety? And we came down to pretty quickly, with all the different ideas, was using the flat land we own right next to this building, and then reconsidering the fields. We've ended up with a plan that I'm surprised no one's asking about or talking about. There's a lot of really exciting elements in it, and it's because it is part of this campus and using this building. So our understanding, actually the day I met Andy was with a Honeywell meeting where they said, hey, your 1955 boilers in your middle high school are a year or two past when they should still be working. You might want to plan for this. So I don't know how we have a 1973 building with 1955 boilers, but we have some significant issues around HVAC and other things. So having this elementary school next door, the new boilers we have to do here anyway with some urgency are going to feed and heat that building. The cafeteria and kitchen, the kids are going to have staged lunches, so they're separated. We're going to have one cafeteria, one remodeled kitchen that'll feed the pre-K through 12. So there's a lot of, it's hard to build a state-of-the-art, incredibly exciting elementary school with makerspace, library, proper special education spaces, music room space, all of these really exciting elements we don't currently have. The way to be able to do that is to shed some of the load from anything that could be shared with this school and to feed the smaller school. We've tried, with our help with our consultants, that's been the focus. You don't usually build a stunning elementary school for $27 million because we don't have all of those systems in it. And we're using the ones we have to fix here. That's coming, whether people are informed or comfortable with it. This is an awesome building that's been taken care of well. There's some serious wear items with 1955 furnaces that need to be addressed. So all of those factors led us to the single campus. And we did exhaust putting, refurbishing the other school. The old school, just to bring it to code, is $18 million. So do you want to do for very similar money build a brand new state-of-the-art school, or do you want to bring one up to code that does nothing to address the education deficiencies, and you still end up with 3 different buildings over there? So I hope this paints a broader picture for folks to understand why we're so excited about this plan and we feel it's the right fit for some people. I hope that does that help you? That's the most important thing.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Sir?
Darrell Sims, 345 Young Hill Road. Just to address the school bus questions, I am a school bus driver here in town. And for anybody that doesn't know, there's 4 large buses that does pick up all of the kindergarten through 12th grade on one route each. the pre-K, or the preschool students, they're all separated on a small bus that has a driver and a monitor on the bus to help the pre-K students. But everybody else is on the bus. The bus is segregated from youngest to the front. The high school is in the back. And as a general rule, there really isn't any issues with that on the buses at all. Thank you.
Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, I'm going to request a motion to move the amended warrant article to the town warrant. I'll read it one more time. Shall the district raise and appropriate the sum of $25,600,000 gross budget for the Sunken Consolidated School Project, which includes constructing and equipping a new elementary school connected to the middle high school, constructing and equipping renovations to the middle high school, renovating existing athletic fields, construction of new athletic fields, and a cinder track, and acquiring approximately 6.5 acres of land, part of tax map 123, lot 4, the project, and authorize the issuance of $25,600,000 of bonds or notes in accordance with provisions of the Municipal Finance Act, RSA Chapter 33, and authorize the school board to issue and negotiate such bonds or notes and determine the date, maturity, interest rate, and other details of such bonds or notes, and raise and appropriate an additional sum of $450,489 from taxation for debt service payments due on such bonds and or notes during the 2020 to 2021 fiscal year, and authorize the school board to accept on behalf of the district any federal, state, or private funds that may become available with respect to the project. Is there a motion to move this to the warrant? Please state your name. Is there a second? There's motion and second made. Were those names gotten by the clerk? Okay. Yes.
So we were just talking up here, and the way this works is we can do the motion and second ourselves. We didn't. We wanted to see your two things. So just so you're clear on that, it goes with the legislative body or it goes with the board. So thanks for making the motion and the second to move us forward.
Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of moving the amended warrant article as read to the school board warrant, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Hearing none, it passes unanimously.
I want to make a motion.
Moving on to Article 4.
I want to make a motion to restrict reconsideration for the Article 3.
Motion's been made. Is there a second? Okay, so to restrict reconsideration at this meeting only is the intent of the motion, I guess, so people can leave who have already voted on this motion. It will not be reconsidered later. If this was a regular town meeting, we could reconsider it in 7 days. But if this motion passes, that's been made and seconded, we won't take up Article 3 again tonight. Is there any questions about the motion? All in favor of limiting reconsideration of Article 3 as amended? Say aye. Aye. All opposed? Hearing none, reconsideration is denied for future Article 3 amendments. Article 4. Shall the district raise and appropriate as an operating budget, not including appropriations by special warrant articles and other appropriations voted separately, the amount set forth on the budget posted with the warrant, or as amended by vote of the first session, for the purpose set forth therein, totaling $12,682,206. Should this article be defeated, the default budget shall be $12,642,051, which is the same as last year, with certain adjustments required by previous action of the district or by law. or the governing body may hold one special meeting in accordance with RSA 40:13, 10, and 16 to take up the issue of a revised operating budget only. The school board recommends approval. Estimated tax impact, 18 cents per thousand.
Scott Ritzman, 76 Down Lane, a school board member. I'm just going to take a few minutes to discuss our annual operating budget. There are handouts, if you didn't get one when you came in, that do line by line basically lay out the budget, the current budget compared to the proposed budget, and I believe the default budget is also part of the material. So if you didn't grab one of those earlier, you're welcome to take one home with you. Certainly shoot us an email with any questions. The purpose of this discussion is going to be higher level. As the warrant article states, the proposed annual operating budget recommended by the school board is for $12,682,206. That represents an increase of just under 0.5% from the current budget. In dollar terms, just under $60,000. So not a very big increase. I think most districts in the state are probably envious of that. The 18-cent estimate that you see at the bottom of the warrant article is the estimated tax increase per thousand of assessed value. In the handout, if you got one, I think one of the last pages is titled Sunapee School District Revenue. And if you look at that, you can see where that 18 cents is coming from. Near the bottom, you have the estimated tax rate, which for this proposed budget was $9.44, 18 cents greater than the current adopted operating budget, which is $9.26. It's important to recognize that the proposed budget, this is an estimate, and a very conservative estimate at that. As we talked about last year when we met, the budget we were proposing for this year, the estimate was $9.41, and it ended up coming in at the $9.26, 15 cents less. And so what happens with that, and it's happened consistently the last 8 or 9 years, we are very conservative in estimating the tuition revenue that comes from out-of-district students. And in doing so, God forbid we have a large unexpected expense, we have a little bit of wiggle room to deal with it, rather than having to come back and ask you for more tax dollars later on. And over the last 8 or 9 years, the actual assessed amount, the amount that you pay taxes on, has always come in at less than what we have proposed or estimated, during this annual deliberative session. So keep that in mind. Basically what happens is if the revenue is a little bit more than what we estimate, the budget stays the same, it doesn't go up, but the taxes you pay go down from what we had estimated when we proposed the budget. As far as the budget itself goes, obviously, 0.5% is a pretty low increase, given what we've been talking about for the last hour and a half, and what we talked about last year throughout this process. There's a conscientious effort by all of us, by the administration, the school board, and the members of the ABC committee to keep the operating budget, in check, status quo. I think most of the increases, I guess like with any business, as well related to increases in non-discretionary items related to compensation, benefits, payroll taxes, that sort of thing. We've been very fortunate in that some investments that we've made in ramping up our special education budget has paid dividends, and there's a significant decrease to that budget, not only due to population fluctuations, but because of the investment we've made in additional staff, we've been able to keep more special needs students in the district. It costs a lot more to send them out of district, and so our budget is benefiting from that dynamic. And as such, again, it's a very nominal increase. The only other number I see up on the screen for the warrant article is the default budget, which is about $40,000 less than the proposed budget that the board is recommending that you vote for. One word about that, I mean, with the way this works, if you vote yes, our proposed budget passes. If you vote no, we go to the default budget. One very important thing that's typically not in default budgets is compensation increases for non-classroom employees, discretionary increases. And I just want to take a moment. Over the last 2 years that I've been on the board, there's been great discussions about how our staff in the technology area, in the facilities arena, and also in special education and transportation. All of these employees go above and beyond what they have to do, things that maybe are outside their job description, and things that maybe end up saving tax dollars to you and I because they're willing to do these things so we don't have to spend money on an outside vendor. We have a great group of employees, and if any of you are in business, you know how much it costs to retain good employees. It costs a lot more to replace them when they leave. And so, for this reason alone, I think I would really encourage everyone to pass the budget as is and not to fall back on the default budget. I think the board feels very strongly about this, and we all hope that you'll go along with approving what we've laid out there. I think in summary, as of last year, we met 4 times to talk about this. The ABC committee, our fearless leader for the 2nd year in a row, Kevin Cooney. Thank you very much. Kevin does a great job of keeping things moving in a constructive manner, but also allowing everyone to say what they have to say. And we had some great discussions during those meetings. Our building principals, Mr. Moynihan and Mrs. Bergen, did a great job of presenting their budgets, and all of our directors, Mike, Matt, Brenda, Tara did a great job of coming forward and educating the board and the committee about what goes into running a school. As parents, we see the teachers, we see the classrooms. There's a lot of other stuff that goes on behind the scenes, and we should really be thankful for the great group of employees that we have. So with that said, the only other thanks I have is to Kelly Wessels, sitting next to Russ over there. Kelly does a great job of pulling all of the numbers together for us so that the board can be very well informed, and so that the ABC committee can be very organized and do its thing. Thank you.
Are there any questions or concerns regarding Article 4 as presented? Everybody's ready to go home. So, hearing none, I'm going to move Article 4 to the warrant. Article 5. Shall the district vote to establish a technology capital reserve fund under the provisions of RSA 35:1? Out of order. You can make the motion after I've finished reading. Article 5. Shall the district vote to establish a technology capital reserve fund under the provisions of RSA 35:1 for the purpose of acquiring computer equipment, including accessories, software, licenses, and peripherals, and raise and appropriate the sum of $50,000 to be placed in this fund, and further to appoint the school board as agent to expend from the fund. The school board recommends approval. Estimated tax impact 4 cents per thousand. The motion can be made now if you wish.
Motion to restrict reconsideration on Article 4.
There's been a motion to restrict the consideration of Article 4. Is there a second? Motion's been made and seconded. Again, this will restrict reconsideration tonight of this Article 4. Any discussion? Any comments? Seeing no one rise. All in favor of restricting reconsideration of Article 4, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Hearing none, it passes unanimously. Article 4 will not be reconsidered tonight. Mr. Anderson, you wish to speak on Article 5?
Adding Anderson 35 Hilltop Drive, South Peak. What we're hoping to put in place here is to start a capital reserve. As technology is changing, and the cost of equipment is going up, we're trying to lighten the burden if we have any major upgrades of any of our computer systems or equipment within the school. Talking to the gentleman in the school that manages this during the budget process, he feels that $50,000 is the right amount of money to start this and get us into an area where if we were to have an event where our servers crash or have any major upgrades, that we have some money that we can reach to so we don't come before the citizens asking for a large amount of money for one item such as a server.
Are there any questions or comments regarding Article 5? Seeing no one rise, I'm going to move Article 5 to the warrant. Article 6. There's been a motion to restrict reconsideration of Article 5. Is there a second? Your name, please. All right. Motion's made and seconded. Is there any discussion on restricting the reconsideration of Article 5? Seeing no one rise, all in favor of restricting the reconsideration of Article 5, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Passes unanimously. Article 5 will not be reconsidered at this meeting. Article 6, shall the district raise and appropriate the sum of $25,000 and place such fund into the school facilities capital reserve fund previously established. Said sum to come from the unassigned fund balance at year end, June 30th, 2020. There is currently $163,371 in the fund. The school board recommends approval. Estimated tax impact is 0 per thousand.
Greg McCall, Clause 89 Hardest Corner Road, school member. The school board is asking for these additional funds to work on building up the capital reserve funds, which are meant to be used for unplanned things that might happen. So the HVAC repair that was part of Andy and Jesse talking about are not accounted for in this fund balance currently. So we've got a $90,000 payout that needs to come out of that. And in addition, we have architect fees and project manager fees and construction estimating fees that need to come out to the amount of the combined capital reserve balances that we've got. So the school board recommends approval of this so that we can work on keeping these at limits that allow us the opportunity to reinvest and deal with unexpected things that might happen.
Are there any questions or concerns regarding Article 6? Mr. Augustine.
John Augustine, 258 Stagecoach Road. Question: how much to date has been spent on architects and consultants and project managers to get us where we are today? If you were to just round numbers for the work that was done for last year's warrant article and the amount that's been done to date for this warrant article, because I understand those payments have come out of this fund.
John, somewhere about estimate because it all has to be about $70,000.
Did everybody hear that? No. A rough estimate supposedly of $70,000 has come out of that fund.
Okay, thank you. And then the mailings that go out related to the new construction projects, roughly how much has been spent on those mailings to date, and do those funds come out of this capital reserve fund?
I was told that they did not come out of this fund and the cost was $2,000.
Thank you.
Is there any further discussion regarding this Article 6? Hearing none, I'm going to move Article 6 to the warrant.
I'll make a motion to restrict reconsideration of Article 6.
Motion's been made to restrict consideration of Article 6. Is there a second?
I'll second Henry's motion.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion about restricting reconsideration of Article 6? Seeing no one rise, all in favor of restricting reconsideration of Article 6, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Hearing none, it passes unanimously. Article 6 will not be reconsidered this evening. Article 7, shall the district raise and appropriate the sum of $50,000 and place such funds in the Sunapee Middle High School roof fund previously established. Said sum to come from unassigned fund balance at year end, June 30th, 2020. There is currently $159,090 in the fund. School board recommends approval. Estimated tax impact, 0 per thousand.
Andy Nichols, School Board. So the majority of the high school roof is in really good shape. And with the new technologies, what we've been doing is we've been scanning the roof for any hot spots. So that's where the insulation fails, and that's where the roof ends up failing quicker. So through this new technology, we're able to patch those spots, you know, a little here and a little there, and we actually get a 20-year warranty on anything that we repair. So it's a pretty fiscally conservative way to look at the whole roof system, and we do recommend that you pass this.
Any questions or concerns regarding Article 7? Hearing none, seeing no one rise, all in favor of moving, I'm going to move Article 7 to the warrant. Is there a motion to restrict the consideration?
I'll make a motion to restrict reconsideration on Article 7.
Is there a second? Motion's made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing no one rise, all in favor of restricting reconsideration of Article 7 tonight, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Passed unanimously. Article 7 will not be reconsidered tonight. Article 8. Should the Sunapee School Board create a committee including representatives of all stakeholders, e.g. students, staff, taxpayers, to investigate alternatives to new school construction such as moving grade K through 5 to the current middle high school building and offering students in grades 9 through 12 school choice to attend the high school that best meets each student's needs and interests. This article was proposed by petition. Mr. Betancourt has asked to be able to address this.
John Betancourt, 101 Fernwood Point Road. The second slide, that's the wording. So a shorter version of what all those words mean is we'd like to poll voters to ask if Article 3 fails, basically what comes next. So should we consider alternatives to another large construction project? Next. So the track record for new construction option hasn't gone well. If it fails again.
Yeah, point of order, can we get a vote on whether we have a slideshow supporting this petition warrant article? Every other one just had a.
If you want the consensus to vote it, I'm not going to let that vote happen until the presentation has been made. Every other warrant article has had a presentation, and Mr. Betancourt arranged to present 7 or 8 slides to you. He's going to have 6 minutes, and you can certainly call me out of order.
Point of order. Was it notified that other people could create slides before the meeting?
It doesn't need to be noticed.
I'm just thinking that I'm not sure if other people knew that there's a possibility to do slides. Thank you.
Do you wish to overrule me? You can make a motion to overrule my decision.
Yeah, I think it's a bad precedent.
What is your motion, sir?
To have a polling of the audience to allow.
You wish to overrule me, my decision. That's what you can move.
I think that's what I'm moving.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Motion and a second. All in favor of restricting this gentleman's opportunity to present his commentary to you? Say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? No. The nays have it. Please go ahead.
Okay, I'm not speaking in support of this, I'm just explaining what it is. Next slide, please. How did it get on the ballot? RSA 39.3 allows an article to be placed on the warrant if 25 or more registered voters apply to the selectmen who insert it. So several of us got together and speaking on behalf of the 50 signers of this petition. So these are some of the alternatives that we thought could be explored together. There may be a dozen others. Could K through 12 fit within the existing school, within this building? So this building held 351 students in 2000. We now have 376 Sunky residents in K through 12, and are told that we can expect that to stay level. Public-private partnerships are a possibility. There are 3 school districts that were actively pursuing this in New Hampshire as of last summer. I don't know what the current status of those are. Public charter schools, I'm not saying that we would become a charter school. We might want to emulate some of the things that they do. If we want to move up, it's hard to move up from number 3, but there's a charter school at the top, and they're much more economical. They're about 1/3 of the cost of the street. Private donations, Colby Sawyer College is in the midst of a $60 million capital campaign. There are a lot of generous people that might be interested in either defraying the cost of the school or even having their name on the building. Who knows? But it could be advantageous to the donors instead of paying for it through taxes, pay through it as a charitable donation. Thanks. Are the signers in favor of school choice? No, absolutely not. The signers, some are against it. A lot of them don't know much about it. It's mentioned only as an example. And I have yet to meet anybody who thinks that before they know much about it, that it's the first choice. Go ahead. Are the signers opposed to Article 3? No, same deal. Some are opposed, some are in favor, some are undecided, and I'm not speaking for or against this article. The signers are simply supporting democracy in action. Let's ask the voters whether they want yet another large construction proposal or want to explore other alternatives. I think it would have been interesting if we had this article run a year ago. We may or may not, it may be 80% want to do another school construction project. I just think it would be helpful to know. Speaking from that. So the signers believe voters can help the school board decide where to go from here. Nobody is opposed to helping children. The question is, what's the best way to get the best results for everybody? Article 8 asks, should we consider more possible solutions than only new construction? Those are the words again. Thank you.
Are there any questions or comments for Mr. Bencourt or to address comment on the warrant?
Ali Bartok, 95 One Hill Road, of the proposed motion to amend.
Do you have that right?
Yes. The last sentence there added, this article is advisory only and non-binding regardless of the vote.
Is that a motion?
Motion.
To amend? Is there a second? Is someone second?
Yeah.
Can you state your name, please?
Sarah Bennett, 34 High Street.
Oh, thank you. Motion is made and seconded. Any discussion on the amendment to warrant article number 8 as stated? And if anybody would like me to read the warrant article, I will. We'll be reading before the vote. But this, I understand the only thing that's been added is this article is advisory only and non-binding regardless of vote. Ma'am, do you wish to address the motion?
Yeah.
You're standing, that's why I asked.
Yes, thank you. My name is Jan Bedford, Fernwood Point. I'd like to speak, I in support of Article 8.
Ma'am, we're only addressing the motion to amend Article 8 at this point.
Step back and fill in comment.
If we were gonna vote on Article 8, the amendment to Article 8 before we're gonna discuss the amended or unamended Article 8. Okay. Sir, you wish to address the motion to amend?
Dan Junius, 21 Scotts Cove Road. The similar proposal was presented on a warrant article 2 years ago that was passed by, I think, 2/3 majority, and an amendment was placed on that to make it advisory only. And despite the 2/3 majority, democracy in action, it was not followed by the school board. I think by putting it as advisory only, if people believe this is an appropriate path to follow, that type of amendment is not appropriate.
Ma'am, do you wish to address the motion to amend? Anybody else wish to address the motion to amend? Seeing no one rise, I'm going to read the amended motion as presented to me. Should the Sunapee School Board create a committee including representatives of all stakeholders, e.g. students, staff, taxpayers, to investigate alternatives to new school construction, such as moving grades K through 5 to the current middle high school building and offering students in grades 9 through 12 choice to attend the high school that best meets each student's needs and interests. This article is advisory only and non-binding regardless of vote. That's the motion as amended. All in favor, or any further discussion? All in favor of amending Article 8 by adding the language, this article is advisory only and non-binding regardless of vote, say aye. Aye. All opposed? No. The ayes have it. Is there any other business coming for this body? Excuse me? Thank you. Any comments on the amended article? We have two people I know who are risen. You're one of them?
Yes.
Would you like to speak?
Yes, thank you. My name is Jan Betancourt of Fernwood Point. I'd like to speak in support of Article 8. The intent of Article 8 is to allow all voters an opportunity to vote an opinion on the future of education in Sunapee if Article 3 does not pass. We can all agree that something needs to be addressed that Sunapee's education needs. But if Article 3 fails again, my hope and the hope of many Sunapee residents is that our school board, before beginning to design another building project, will agree to thoroughly investigate all possible education options for our students. The way students are getting a high school education is changing, times are changing, and the next investment our community makes in educating our students needs to be one that is viable for many years to come. Could we possibly provide a better educational opportunity for those students whose passion would be better met in a technical school program? Would some students benefit from a wider selection